Up to mighty London came an Irish lad one day. All the streets were paved with gold, so everyone was gay, singing songs of Piccadilly, Strand and Leicester Square, till Paddy got excited and he shouted to them there. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. Paddy wrote a letter to his Irish Molly-o, saying, should you not receive it, write and let me know. If I make mistakes in spelling, Molly dear, said he, remember it's the pen that's bad, don't lay the blame on me. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. Molly wrote a neat reply to Irish Paddy-o, saying Mike Maloney wants to marry me, and so leave the Strand and Piccadilly, or you'll be to blame. For lovers fairly drove me silly, hoping you're the same. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, but my heart's right there.
Hello everyone, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on Trenchfoot, obviously. And Trenchfoot is a game about static warfare and watching men die horrifically on the front. Last time we worked on this, pretty much. The most basic ideas of what the fuck this game is, what do you actually need, how do we build an army, otherwise known as a bunch of brigades. Now, last time I ran into an issue. I couldn't find my measuring tape, but I found my measuring tape. This is good. And because I had my measuring tape, I can finally ascertain some basic distances. I like distances. So, first things first, I would like to thank Feargully. Yeah, hi, thanks, you're Fern. I'd like to thank Fern Gully for following, so thank you very much. We're at 125 people. Go team. But yeah, that's the plan today, is we gotta figure out trench building. Now, in most other games, this would be roughly called this would be deployment, which is usually a fairly important concept in war games and skirmish games and all those kinds of games, is where are my dudes? Where are my dudes? Now, in Trenchfoot, it gets a little bit more complicated because your dudes matter less than where your dudes are. You know, because this is not called soldier foot, this is called trench foot. Now, the complicated thing is like getting this to work properly is going to be a bitch. I'm just going to be on. It's going to be a bitch. Now, right here, I have my military maps. Good old military maps. So we'll go to a nice simple place. There's a nice simple place that we can think of. I guess we will go to. We'll go to northern France. Everybody likes northern France. Actually, no, fuck it. We'll be a little bit wacky. We'll go to the UK. Now, what we can do, we don't need to do a symbol. Map info center. Nope. Options. We want to find. We'll go with Imperial. Simply because it's a little bit simpler to understand. What is the grid coordinates? We don't need grid coordinates. Pacific view? I don't know what that does. Symbol size. The hell does the... I don't know what these even do. Now, what the fuck is land distribution? Label that's label distribution. Now, an ideal sense of is that I'd be able to. Do we have a scale somewhere? Because the issue is I don't have a scale on this, and it would be very nice if I did have a scale. Now, if I wanted to print this, page size, landscape, background map, coordinate grid, reference points, top left corner. Am I seeing a grid? Like, am I seeing reference? Like, because obviously I can't just like, yes, this is the map now. No, like, it's like, I would usually like to find like a decent, setup on the map. However, let's do, we go here, because normally what occurs, I'm going to give you all a secret here, is this is obviously is Google Maps. We like Google Maps. Fuck is ungroup. This is Google Maps. Now, as you can see, like down here in the corner, this is 1 mile or 5 kilometers. Now, if I zoom in a little bit more, we can kind of see that this is 1 mile for this little inch right here. So if I zoom into like here, this would be 1 mile for this size down here. I don't see that for this. And that's where things get a little bit more complicated. And I would really like it if it was. That would be really cool. Distance units. Like, I wonder if I have to put in a new symbol or something. If I put like a supply, I put like this symbol down here. Oop. Yeah, that didn't work. Okay, we can delete you now. Like symbols, yeah, I don't know what this wouldn't be a symbol search, would it? Yeah, you kind of see the it gets a little bit more. Does this even have document? Let's do about. Maybe I can find something valuable here. Yeah, you can kind of see like this is exactly kind of what I'm looking for, but it's like I wonder if I can find. Yeah, like you kind of see even 3D here. This would be perfect here, by the way. Like honestly, I mean, let's actually see 3D as it chugs a little bit. There we go. Let's just zoom down here a little bit. There we go. Beautiful little map here. As you can see, we can turn things around. Now, again, if I knew exactly what the distance was, that would be a lot nicer. But I don't. I don't know what the distances are, so I'm a little bit lost here. Also, because you can also do this, which I think is kind of neat. I like this thing. This is exactly the things that I've been wanting. Ooh, ow. But I just wish there was a little bit more documentation regarding it, so I can actually kind of figure out the size of things. But generally speaking, let's do. No, we need to find. We'll do the. Let's see. How long were trenches in World War I? Let's just Google this real fast. 475 miles long. So, although not in a continuous line. That's kind of like the big thing that I'm kind of banking on right here. That these weren't like in a continuous line or anything. So, let's do Battle of the Somme. Because like, you get things like Battle of the Somme were a little bit complicated because it was such a fucking massive fight. Actually, let's do... You can even see a lot of this. Because this is the issue. Like, this is the Battle of the Somme. Like, the thing is, you're, like, right here. That's where things get a little bit... The tactical size... Hello, Solid. The tactical size of World War I is turning out to be the complicating factor of this entire thing. So, I need to get, like, an ideal map of, like, let's... Like, because the big thing is this. Okay, here's the thing. So when both sides, when the battle has been agreed upon, both commanders will determine who is attacking and defending. Like when the battle has been agreed upon, both who is attacking and defending. If there is no consensus, then the central powers player will be attacking. Then the central powers commander will be attacking. There we go. So it's kind of like the idea of like if one of us is the Entente and the other is the central powers, and you can't decide who's going. Central powers is going to be will be the attacker. Actually, who's attacking and defending? No, will be the attacker. All right. The attacker and defender. Defender indicate who will be placing down bound the first trench. Actually. The attacker and defender will indicate who. How do I want to word this? Where the battle will be taking place, as well as where the first trenches are laid. The defender will choose which side of the map they wish to start on. Splitting the map into in half from the side they wish to start on. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up Paint. I'm literally just going to open up paint.net. And we're going to go back to military maps. Nice, easy military maps. Map.army. And we're just gonna we'll choose someplace simple. We're like right here. How about this? Like right. It's kind of hard to get like a good idea of like again the kind of the size of things, but this will do for now. We'll do something like. Actually, here's what we can do. Monte Montalvas. Let's go to Google Maps. Montalvas. Yeah, Montalvas. We want to go to about right here. No, we want to go to about a little bit, there we go. See, this is 1 mile. This is where things get a little bit complicated, because it's just like the scale gets a little bit out of hand. But if we do something like this, so if we put that right there, put this like right there. Okay, just do satellite imagery. No, don't need that. Put satellite imagery. Montalvas is a little bit more this way. Got the central road. Yeah, okay. So actually this is a little bit more like this. A little bit more like this. You can even see this isn't a perfect scale if we zoom out a little bit. Yeah, this is mind you, this is, yeah, it's trying to get the, oh, hello phone. I might have to dip here for like 5 minutes. Because my mom has something I need. It's like, okay, so we'll use this map. Okay, we'll use this as like a nice, good sample example map. I'm gonna do right from the corner here, or it's going all the way down. There we go. Actually, no, we want, what is the, so this is the map we have. Like, we'll split down right down the center here with the road. Yeah, it doesn't really turn out that great because it's a fucking snip, but it'll work for what it is. We see all the major bits. Oh, there we go. There we go. We're Morbin, everybody. We're Morbin. Which I am happy that Morbius has become a meme. So let's see. We're going to do 5. We're going to make a little note here. And that means a little note here, in which we're going to put in as, where's it good? Big and readable. No, we're going to use Futura. Actually, that's Franklin Gothic heavy, but it'll work. So we'll do, so we kind of understand, this is, we're attacking from here, the defend, actually no, it would be the, if the defender is locating over here and the attacker is going over here, we go to the middle of the map and we dotted line and we divide the map straight in half. Actually, that's not really that half. We have to divide the map straight in half. So, because of this, we've kind of said, this is what this map is going to look like. So we're going to select that. And so I don't need this right now. Okay, the defender will choose which side of the map they start on, splitting the map in half inside they wish to, from the side they wish, wish to start on, splitting the map in half for deployment reasons. from there, let's see, we'll do from there, the defender, let's see, the defender places their first trench on the map, indicating the start of the trench network they will be constructing. There we go. Yeah, this is where things get a little bit confusing because, again, this is just entirely scale-wise, which is hard. So if we're kind of referencing this, effectively, the defender can only place on this side of the map. The attacker can only put on this side of the map. So if the defender is blue, for example, he may say, "All right, I want to put my first trench here." That's where he's going to opt to put his first trench, and then the attacker is going to be like, "Oh, okay, I want to put my first trench here." And then it's alternating. It's like, okay, I want to build the second one here, build another one here. Like the attacker may say, "Oh, I want to hold the river line," while the defender may say, "Well, I'm going to use the tree line." Like I'm going to abuse the fact that he needs to like hit me in the tree. Well, this guy's like, okay, fine, cool. Like he's clearly seeing that the defender is abusing the tree line, so he's going to maybe be a little bit aggressive about it. So you kind of see here, he's building this way. He's like, "Oh, okay, we'll do this." I'm getting a phone call. Where's it? Okay, I'm back for a bit, I think. I'm waiting on something. What about secret tunneling? Not really going to factor that in right now. It's kind of a niche case that. But yeah, so something like this might be how the battle lines kind of start out. But as you can kind of see, it's like, oh, okay, we already kind of have some interesting things to worry about. Like, there's this huge piece of no man's land here. Nobody wants to cross, but nobody can really attack each other with it. But you also have this very close distance that's just going to be a slaughter fest. But it's like, okay, we've ascertained, we've said this is the current field, this is what we're worrying about. Let's go, gamers. However, we need to determine some very basic ideas. So from there, the defender places the first trench on the map, indicating the start of the trench network they will be constructing. And then the attacker will put down their first trench. Then the attacker will put down their first trench. The two players alternating between them. The rule. So what we're gonna do is the rules for trench placement are as follows. So the rules for trench placement are as follows. So this is where it gets a little bit weird, and this is why I say like the map size is going to be it's getting the exact map size to work properly is going to be a little bit complicated. But what I want to do is the size of your trench is going to indicate how many battalions are going to be actually in. And there's 3 options. Either we can do 2 inches for 1 battalion, 1 inch, or 1 inch for 1 battalion. So, for example, 6 inches is actually quite a big line. However, you can fit 3 battalions of men in there. Or we can say you can fit 6 battalions of men. And that's where it's like, the only fear is that people are going to draw like little 1-inch trenches that are like impossibly small. And just dot those around, putting one guy in them. So it's like, okay, we're going to need to do like 2-inch trenches, which aren't very big by themselves. Oh, there she is again. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Text messaging has proven once again to be the worst form of communication physically possible. The rules for trench placement are as follows. So, a player may actually. How do I want to word this? Trenches may only be built on the player's side. On the player's flat side, trenches must be within 3 inches. We'll do 3 inches of the player of. Actually, we'll do of allied trenches. In case you do like a 4-player game for some fucking reason, like it has to be within allied trench. So you have to be within 3 inches of your own trench. Pretty simple. That's pretty easy to understand. Trenches cannot cross rivers. Not cross rivers. So you can't draw a line through a river. You know, so if we're using this for example, I can't draw a line like this. Like I can't draw. Like the red player cannot draw a line that looks like this because it's crossing the river. It has to be on the river or it has to be, you know, kind of beyond it. Kind of the idea being like you've clearly gone in front of the river or you've crossed it. Unless there's like an obvious bridge or something to, let's say that. But no, you can't do that. Let's see. Trenches cannot cross rivers. Trenches cannot be within, we'll say 5 inches of enemy trenches. Kind of getting to the idea being like you can't be like directly next to people. Actually, we'll do 3 inches. So kind of like you can't touch. Because the idea being like you can have a network with them. Trenches cannot be within 3 inches of the enemy. Actually, the following rules for initial trench placement are as follows. Cannot be within 3 inches of an enemy trenches. Trenches cannot be dug inside of a lake. Cannot be dug inside of a lake or body of water. Pretty simple idea that it's one of those things where you gotta state it, because if you don't, people are going to get confused and mad, being like, why can't I build my trench in the lake? I mean, like, because you can't, you fucking mongoloid. Okay, so if we do this, we go here, we open this. What other possible exceptions can we get? Because I want the idea being like, yeah, mountains, like you can put it on a mountain, with the idea not necessarily like I'm on top of the mountain, but more like you're dug into the side of the hill kind of thing. Like you are very much dug in there. You can't cross bodies of water. You can't do that. A friend sent me a fucking sticker. Desert is fine. Yeah, that's really all I can think of. Like, that's the only like major. There aren't many rules for like how to do it. Actually, trenches must be at least. We'll do at least 2 inches. I'm gonna go. Well, no, we'll do 1 inch equals 1 battalion. Why is everyone pinging me now? Everyone is pinging me right fucking now. Why? Why are you all doing this to me? Swampy land and bog. That's going to be that's going to be locations that are more. Fuck you too. That's going to be more along the lines of like locations in general. I mean, like if you build your trench on swampy shit, you're going to take a penalty to it, because guess what? It's a fucking nightmare. Like don't do this. It's like don't do it. You're gonna die. Trenches must be at least 2 inches in size. Actually, 2 inches long, I guess. 2 inches long. 2 inches long, but no more. But out at 6 inches. Trenches must be at least 2 inches long, but only let's see, must be at least 2 inches long, but no more than 10 inches. 10 inches. So that would be 10 units. That is a 10-inch line. Now, I bring out my handy dandy thing here. That is a massive fucking just brick wall of line. That is a huge battle line you've drawn all of a sudden that you can stop 10 men in. You can stop like 30,000 men, just in there. But that is a massive complex of men and blood. And it's like, okay. Let's be 2 inches long, but no more than 10 inches. So let's actually do 1 mile. 1 mile of trenches can fit. Yeah, like 475. Like not even like you're not even gonna have a. Okay, it's not even going to be a mile long. That's fine. Okay. Because if it's 400, well, think about it like this. It's 475 miles long. And let's say there was like 2 million, 2 million fucking men deployed. Not 20 million, 2 million. 2 million, 1, 2, 3 divided by 475. Like that's 4,210 men per mile. Yeah, okay. That's fine then. Arguably, you can make a strong argument that I can probably reduce the size down. So that's okay, actually, if we do like an inches a mile. And the entire idea is that you're going to be cycling these guys out just because they're going to fucking die. So that's okay. So trenches must be 2 inches longer than 10 inches. Let's see. Each commander may only build as many trenches as they have deployed. They have deployed units. So when a commander has finished building their trench network. When a commander has finished building their trench network, they are then allowed to deploy their units inside of the trench network. Okay, when a commander is finished building their trench network, they are then allowed to deploy their units inside of the trench network. Each unit may for every inch, we'll do rounding down. So if you have like 2.5 inches, you can't put half a soldier in it. You're gonna put, it's gonna be 2 inches. For every inch, rounding down, the commander may place a single deployed unit. Let's say it may place a single deployed unit. The unit may then. So a 5 inch. Actually, we'll do. Okay, I'm gonna have to hop out here for 2 minutes. God fucking damn it! Holy shit! You text me that you don't call me after you text. hello, hi, I'm alive. It's been a mess. I had to run outside. I had to talk to my mom. I had to pick up a 10-pound bag of fucking rice. She's having a hell of a time at work, and she wanted to tell me about it. All right, let's do this, gamers. I'm okay. You're okay. We're all fucking okay. What I need to do is I need to do just late night streams at this point. Dead of night, 2 in the morning. Hey, what's poppin', gamers? It's your boy, Notepad After Dark. I should just do that. Fuck the Europeans. Fuck them. I don't need them anymore. I'll sacrifice them upon the altar. Because that was the optimized plan. 3 o'clock EST. Some people are getting off work. I can do it for my boys over in Europe. They're okay. I'm okay. We're all okay. But no, every time I stream, something goes on. But later, I've been getting more of you. Why? What is going on? Oh, God. This is the problem with having like a very multinational fan base at this point. And I can accurately say I have a fan base, and I like that, and my ego is being stroked. Is that it's like, oh, why aren't you streaming for me? Be like, bitch, you are in Kaliningrad. Why aren't you streaming for me? Bitch, you are in Laos. I am not streaming for all of you at once. Like, see, that was the funny thing. I was actually talking to some of my friends earlier, and it was funny because I got a ding on my phone for someone visiting the website, and it was from Hanoi, good old Vietnam. I'm like, yes. Finally, Vietnamese pride. Vietnam worldwide. Finally, it's time. Let's see. For every inch rounding down, the commander may place a single deployed unit. So a 5-inch trench. A 5-inch trench can support up to 5 deployed units. 5 deployed units. Okay, yeah, so 5-inch trench can support up to 5 deployed units. These are represented by these are represented with tokens of some actually these are represented with tokens indicating the number of units in number of units in the trench, but not the the number of units in the trench number of units in the trench, but not the kind of units. So how I want to do this, the idea is you're going to be lined up next to each other. So let's say we'll take this for example. If you're the God damn it, every time you're the attacking player, for example, all you're going to see with blue, we'll use 5 points. All you're going to see with blue, I'll use light blue just to make it a little bit easier. You're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to see 5 little dots over here, or whatever tokens that they're using to indicate that there's 5 units there. You're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4 units here, and you might see 2 there, 1 there, 1 there. That's all you can see. You don't know what they are, though. That's the catch. You don't know what they are. So it may be like, oh, well, you may say, well, oh, obviously, this side is really weak. These guys are really weak up here. But if those are, 2 MG nests and you send like 1 infantry over, they're going to get mulched. They're going to die on the approach, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's like, well, fuck you. Have fun, asshole. It's like, you don't know what you're dealing with. But you can't, how do I want to word this? You don't know what you're dealing with until you throw someone. Until you throw bodies at it. but this might be 5 fucking conscripts and are worthless. You don't know. However, you can usually get like a good indication of like, I wonder what's going on here. Like, hey, the enemy has like, oh wow, you have like a shit ton of troops over here. Maybe they're planning something. Maybe that they're going to try to charge. Like, never would have thought. Never would have thought that. But it's like, okay, if we know that they only have like 2 units over here, 1 unit here, but they're stacking really hard on like the river line, they may be trying to dig in a little bit, or maybe seeing where you go. So that's kind of the, you could say where the strategy comes in a little bit of, I know what you know, what I know, what you know, and now we're all kind of debating on like who knows what. Like nobody knows anything. The chaos of the game does not come from the dice, it comes from the players and the inability to know. That's where the hidden information comes in. So these are represent token in the number of units in the trench, but not the kind of unit. So let's see. When both commanders have deployed all of their units, all of their deployed units, actually have assigned all of their deployed units, they will then place down their artillery pieces, and finally themselves on the field. Themselves on the field. There we go. Let's see. So when both commanders have assigned all their deployed units, then they will have placed down their artillery pieces, finally themselves on the field. Okay. So what do I mean by like, oh, you're deploying yourself on the field? Well, you have to deploy your commander, for example. And as a commander, if you put yourself like right here, then yeah, actually what I should say is I should put a note here, which is place down their artillery pit, finally themselves on the field. And both commanders they will then place their artillery pieces. Artillery must be behind a trench. Actually, artillery can be placed anywhere. On artillery can be placed anywhere on the side of the commander, but cannot. So artillery can be placed anywhere on the side of the commander. So actually, anywhere on the commander's side, but must be within. We'll say 5 inches. Actually, must be within 5 inches of a trench, or the command staff. The final piece put down is the commander themselves, alongside their staff. The command staff can freely be put anywhere, as long as it is within 3 inches of either artillery or a trench. So, kind of along the idea that you're very packed together. However, as the commander, you and the command staff, you have to be kind of within safety range. As long as you're with it safe, you're fine. One of the problems being that if you're ever attacked, you lose. You lose the game outright. You've been captured. You've been killed. Like, the actual commander has lost. You have lost your life. Sorry, everybody. You're not going home. Like, oops. Oopsie doopsie. All my friends are dead. So the final plea, alongside their staff, command staff can freely place be put anywhere as long as they are within 3 inches. From there, they with both sides successfully deployed. The command of the attacker. Let's see. With both sides successfully deployed, the attacker may free. Actually, both will mark their secret object. With both sides successfully deployed, the battle begins in earnest. Go. Battle against a true hero. Except the true hero is violence. Has been agreed. Troops may only be on the player's side. Commander may only build as many trenches as they have deployed units. So, digging ditches and settling in, which leads directly to we'll do deployment. We'll do deployment and reserves. At the battle's opening. Both commanders will choose which units are being deployed or held in reserve. Deployed units must be placed on the field. But a reserve unit does not need to be placed now. However, reserve units may only be deployed at the end of a turn, with the commander moving them up to join the ranks. A reserve unit must be able to fit in a location. Fit in a trench. So you pretty much, if you have 3 units in a 3-inch trench, they can't fit, so you can't deploy them there. So a reserve unit must be able to fit in a trench and be deployed in a trench. It must be able to fit, must be assigned to a trench, and be able to fit in it. So it's kind of along the idea of like, you've put units in, however. Like, yeah, you put some guys in a trench, but you have to deploy them at a trench. If you don't have any trenches, you've lost. However, if you also don't have a... It's one of those things, like, you are always going to need a trench. Oh god, they're trying to convince us all that we should play fucking EDF. No, I don't want to play EDF. I'm not ready to go back. Reserve unit may be assigned to a trench and be able to fit in it. But in it, yeah. So If a commander loses all unit, you lose all deployed units, with only reserves left, they still are considered to be annihilated and lose the battle. Kind of along the idea of like, if you lose literally everybody, you can't call your reserves up to be like, haha, my reserves will save me. No. This little rule is specifically for, I'm gonna deploy one unit and put it right there. Ha ha ha, I'm gonna win. No, you're going to die if you do that. You are going to lose and everyone's going to laugh at you. Like, you're just going to be overworked. Like, the issue at that point is you're going to be overrun. And when you get overrun, you're not going to be able to do much else. Like, you have clearly lost at that point. Oh my god. We got a new visitor to the site. We have someone from, gotta say this correctly, Hooten-la-Spring, the United Kingdom. Hooten-la-Spring. Yep, that's a fucking name and a half. I love British town names. They're great. They all sound very intimidating, but equally not intimidating. Very fascinating. I love it. If a commander loses all deployed units and their only reserve left, they can still annihilate and lose the battle. Okay. We will do heading 2. See, it's kind of like, this is what you need to do. Like, this is important. These are how you build trenches. These are what deployed units look like. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that there. I'm going to... We want to stop that, and we want to do... This is our first example. So here's our map. You know, we kind of see where the defenders are coming from. We see where the attackers are coming from. We put it dead center right there. Like, oh, wowzers! Like we've clearly seen like what can occur here, but we go here. We go backspace, backspace, backspace. And if we go open this up, we can also do the map like this. With, say, the defender set with the defender, you know, like defender coming in this way and the attacker coming in this way. It's kind of along the idea like the defender usually has the advantage. However, the attacker is going to get his like bonus thing, which is going to be the first round of combat, you get an extra order, which is very powerful. The issue being, you don't get to choose where you set up. Especially in, like, again, like a situation like this even is really bad for the defender. Actually, really bad for the attacker. Because they have to cross the river. And they have to start all the way back here where the defender can kind of shack up if they want. So that's its own kind of like major, like, oh, this is really bad and I'm going to lose. Actually, we can do that. We can do... There we go. We kind of see what's going on here. However, again, objectives may show up. Actually, that reminds me. People talking about fucking JKs and fucking Animu bullshit in my holy land. God, why y'all gotta be fucking weebs? Weebs. There we go. So again, like 2 deployment zones on the same map. Very different tactical considerations. This fight, you know, the top fight is going to be a lot more close range. Well, this one's going to be a lot farther unless they kind of want us like sneak around the side. Which could be very, like a very reasonable decision of, we've crossed the river, fuck you. Well, now the defender needs to make a decision to be like, I guess I'm going to deploy somewhere else. Hopefully we chose our objectives well. does make me move to private information. There we go. We'll do private information. So all information is technically private. The only information that both sides will know about the other is roughly where they will be deploying, as well as the number of deployed troops. Which, that's a very important note, which is the number of deployed troops, not troops held in reserve. If you have an absurd number of troops in reserve, you can try to fake somebody out with a lot of deployed. With a little, like, okay, if I've got a lot of reserves, I can probably fake somebody out with some deployed. Which leads to, all information is technically private, the only information on both sides. Each commander should have a private board of information of the map themselves. For extra realism, for extra immersion, often this is just a smaller version of the board in front of them, of the map in front of them, allowing them to write down and reference information that they have. So it's kind of like the idea of, like, they have their own viewpoint of what the battle's looking like for them. You might have information on your board saying, I know where all my MGs are deployed. I know where all my conscripts are. The other team doesn't. They only know where your numbers are. So 5 guys over here may mean they have conscripts. It may mean they have a guard in there, maybe. They don't know until they start making probing attacks, until they start making continuous kind of assaults of information. Which makes things hectic. That's where the chaos comes in. And in games like this, you need to have chaos. Or I gotta say it, chaos. Because if you don't have chaos, 1, 2, 3, actually. See, if I wanted to be really, really smug about things, I know how I could do this too. Yeah, okay. I think I know how I'm gonna do this. We might still use dice. But they're not going to be in the way that you think. Actually, I want to do normal type. So, often this is just a smaller version of the map, allowing them to write down reference information that they have. For extra immersion and the talented, have the commanders draw the map themselves, draw their personal map themselves. Trying desperately to make sense of the scribbles before them. Yeah, for extra immersion and the talented. Yeah, pretty much this is the fuck you moment. Like, here's the map. You now must draw this. You just get a little bit of time before, you're like desperately kind of like trying to sketch things out of like where everything is. You're like, is that a river? Like, yeah, it's a river. It's like, fuck. That's not how I want it. Okay, so have the commanders draw their personal map themselves, trying desperately to make some of the scribbles before them. Only when the enemy commander is making intelligence gathering order. Actually, no, it would be intelligence orders. Will information be gradually revealed to them? the information gained is rarely the best information, however. So there we go. It's one of those things like you can figure out how many troops do you have in reserve. I have 2. Oh my God, you literally have everything here. But if someone says, "Oh, I have 500 supply left," it's like you're putting 2 and 2 together. That's kind of the idea. It's like how much supply did you spend on troops? I spent this much. Fuck. Like recon. Again, that's kind of like where this comes in, Draco. The idea of recon is the fact that you know exactly how many troops they have per location. You know where their artillery technically is. You know where their commander is. It's the fact that we are playing on a board is kind of recon. This is the idea of is making intelligence orders is you can sack your orders to gain information. Is that, hey, I want to answer a question. I want, how many troops how many troops in total do you have? This many. How many, or like, tell me, what is in that trench right now? It's kind of that kind of information. Now, I didn't realize this before, and I kind of had a fucking brilliant revelation here. Is, as you can tell here, there are 6 units. What we can do is we can assign it like a D6. And the entire idea being for that hidden information is you assign, like you might have a bunch of you have a bunch of D6s representing your units. Infantry for you might be assigned as 3. Stormtroopers maybe assigned as 5. Cavalry equals 1. Conscripts equal 2. And that's where kind of the cipher comes in, you could say. It's like, we don't really know what it is, but it's like, what's your ones? It's like, oh, those are my cavalry. Like, oh my God, you got too much cavalry, you fucking loser. It's kind of information like that. That could be interesting. That's not a terrible idea. For action immersion, only the enemy intelligent order get information gradually revealed to them. Information gained is rarely the best information. Yeah, and also, nothing is, the big thing about this game, what I want, is nothing is stopping you from making logical deductions. Nothing should stop you from saying, I charged this trench, they did 15 damage to me. You have machine gunners in there. And the other person's going to look at you being like, no, I don't have that. Being like, don't you lie to me, you son of a bitch. Like, oh, you have 3 machine gunners in there doing 9 damage apiece. And you have 2 infantry. So that's 9 plus 4. That's 13 damage. My guys get mulched immediately on the approach. I know you either have guards in there, but I know you don't have guards. Or I know so you have machine gunners and infantry. But it's like, okay, what are you doing with the stormtrooper information? What are you doing with cavalry? It's like, that's kind of where things get a little bit like, yes. Actually, we should do, private information. What I should do is, actually, we should do entrenched, exposed, and wounded units. Actually, entrenched and exposed units. Yeah, like one thing I'm gonna there's gonna be a lot of, how does damage work on this game? Damage is pretty simple. If we go here, if I am assaulting a trench, let's say I am attacking you, and inside that trench you have, we'll say, we'll just make a random situation here. Let's say I'm attacking you with 3 infantry. They have an attack value of 1, so my attack value, my total attack value is 3. You are defending with 3 infantry. They have a DV of 2. That means you have a DV of 3, a DV of 6. So, because we've kind of got these basic numbers in place right now, just to make sure, is what occurs is there's no random chance or anything like that. That's the big idea. There's no random chance. There's no information like that at all. What it is we compare it. And what it goes is DV, then AV, then DV. So for example, on the approach, I'm going to take 6 damage. I need to distribute that to those 3 infantry's organization. Now, an infantry has 4 organization. And I have 3 of them. So we'll do... So it's like, okay, I now need to distribute 6 damage to these. So I might do something like this. Like, cool, I've reduced all my guys' health by that amount. However, we hit, and your 3 infantry all have, 4 org each. And then then I deal 3 damage. So you might say like, oh, okay, I want to do 2 damage to them and 1 damage to this guy. Then you deal 6 damage to me again, which potentially may just eradicate some of my numbers here a little bit. The units are all going to die. However, the idea being that if I, let's say, had more units, could potentially continue the attack. If you have overwhelming numbers, you just pile on the attack. You're going to keep taking damage, but you can you can kind of deal it. You can take it. But it's pure assigned damage. That's the big idea. So you're looking at your troops, and refilling them is going to cost you something. So you don't really want to throw your guys' lives away, but they also mean jack shit. And they're really cheap. So get a bunch of infantry and throw them at the problem. But you probably don't want to do that to, like, maybe your cavalry. Because their cavalry is really good when they're attacking exposed units. Because if we're both outside of the trench and we kind of like meet in the middle of no man's land, like our orders happened at the exact same time, we charge across the field at each other, we're going to be doing only our attack damage at each other until one of us runs away, which could be very bad. But you also get things like cavalry, which can do an insane amount of damage very quickly and just overwhelm you with very little. They hit the absolute hardest if they are allowed to. The big idea is that attacking sucks. Attacking is hard, it's not fun, it's going to deal a lot of damage to you, it's going to deal a lot of damage to them. Artillery, on the other hand, can be used either defensively, with the idea being that you're shelling them on the approach, so they've taken a lot of damage before they even begin, or you can use it offensively, which is you shell a trench and then you rush in. You may want to do an entire strategy of just poking a trench constantly. Just keep poking them. Just keep hitting them. Keep hitting them. Bop, 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 bop. Bloody some noses. And then charge. If you just been shelling these guys, but they haven't moved anybody, and they haven't reinforced, well, you've not lost anything. You've gained something. You've gained their trench. And because you're in their trench system now, you having a good advantage. Like, you are doing something very good. Which is kind of dangerous. It's like, oh no, I'm losing stuff. I've lost a lot of... It's a very deterministic game. You're always going to kind of know what's going on. However, it's also a game about kind of thinking about how to do things. Like Stormtroopers, for example, you kind of see Stormtroopers there. They do 2 damage and 2 defense value, which a few Stormtroopers can very easily turn the tide of a fight just because they're going to be doing a lot more damage than they really naturally would be doing. So you can take out a unit possibly being like, well, why don't you just, mix, always distribute it equally? Is a conscript as valuable as your infantry? No. Kill your conscripts. Murk them. Have your cavalry act as meat shield. They don't matter. Maybe that's the plan. Like, that's the... Maybe, like, maybe that's what we need to do. So, let's see. What do we need? Pick off all this. So, entrench and exposed units. So, a unit is considered entrenched when it is located inside of when it is located inside of a trench. A unit is exposed when it is outside of a trench. Outside of a trench. Let's see. A unit is considered entrenched when it is located inside of a trench. Unit is exposed when it is outside of a trench. Exposed units only use their AV. Use only their AV to determine their attacks. To determine their attacks and defenses. While entrenched are allowed to use their DV. Actually, I'm gonna do that down below, but I should say is trench building in terrain. Actually, trench terrain. I slightly advanced a trench. All trenches are not built evenly. Are not built equally. When a trench is put down, the location of which determines any bonuses or penalties the units inside may face. So, basic terrain issues. We're gonna zoom into fucking Chicago, not Chicago. We're gonna zoom in right here, right? So, basic issues. So, we're going to do roadways. Actually, not roadways. No. We'll do river crossing. If a trench on a river is actually, how do I want to word this? If the units attacking a trench must cross a river while attacking, then the entrenched units gain a +2 to their DV. Actually, we'll +1 to their DV. +1 to DV. Might increase organization, actually. So it's kind of along the idea of being like, you are rushing across, you're getting just mowed down in there by virtue of like you are stuck. So actually, +1 to the DV and an extra, we'll say an extra tick of damage before the attackers. So it'll be DV, then AV, then DV. Yeah, you're gonna shred people if they're trying to cross a river or like cross something that you're on the other side of. Like, that's a clear fun fact. Being shacked up on a river is a clear fucking advantage. Actually, we'll do town defense. If a trench is built inside of a town, all units gain +1 D. All units gain +1 DV. Let's see. If a trench is majority built inside of a town, all units gain +1 DV. All units gain +1 DV, and all units gain +1 defensive value. but cannot be shelled by light artillery. But take half damage from artillery. What's some other good ones that were, actually I should say mountain. Mountain defense. If a trench is built on a mountain, or within we'll say within 4 inches of a mountain, then the units gain a +2 to DV, but reduce the number of units in the trench by 1. So it's kind of along the idea of being like actually we'll say half. So it's like if you want a lot of units in like a mountain defensive area, you got to build like a 4-inch trench for 2 units. So they're going to be able to defend very well. However, they're going to be real bad at their job. Like they're not going to do real well. We'll do marsh and bogs. Trenches built on marsh and bogs within 5 inches of lakes. Actually 5 inches of bodies of water, excluding rivers. Kind of along the idea of being like, yeah, you building on a river, you've built the river line up. That's kind of the idea. But if you're like, you can't build next to a lake, you're going to take this penalty. Treasures built on much bogs have half reduce. Bogs reduce the number of units in the trench by half. Because it's a boggy shithole. Let's see. What's some other good ones? What's some other forest and jungle. Actually, do I already have forest? No. Forest and jungle. Trenches built inside of woodland. Trenches built inside of woodland gain +1 DV, but reduce the range of assault by half. Range of defense by half. There we go. So it's kind of along the idea of being like, if the guys are rushing towards you, they're going to have a little bit of time to be like, we're not actually assaulting you, we're just moving up. You can say move up 2 inches and we're going to build a new trench. However, you're going to be exposed. You're going to be standing there in the middle of fuck all nowhere, which they're going to be like, yeah, hey, artillery, blast them to hell and back because they're out of position. However, here is, okay, we have a much shorter range, but we're going to get a bonus. So it's kind of that, like, okay, bit of A, bit of B. Which brings me to, okay, Deserato. Very important I talk about that. Desert. Trenches built in the desert. Trenches built in the desert cost half as much supplies. But can support one less unit. Like, you can build trenches all day in the desert. The problem is they aren't really that good. They're cheap and easy. And let's see, is there anything else that's like really abundantly clear that I need to worry about? Let's think. Are trenches a purchase thing like units, or are they drawn at the beginning and can you upgrade them? That's the plan. one of the ideas behind trenches is what I want to get is you're going to get your initial, you're going to have your initial trenches. Like, these ones are your deployed units have rushed onto the field, dug these pits in the ground, and the battle is kind of starting. Everyone's kind of stood up and everyone's ready to fight. You can spend, with the idea being that you can spend supplies, kind of like in a traditional war game, points or something like that. You can spend those to upgrade your trenches, making them better, or you can spend them building new ones. They're cheap, like most of them are pretty cheap, but they're usually, the problem being is, obviously, you can't build a trench, or a very useful trench, outside. You can expand certain trenches and you'll fit more units in them, but it's like, we need to rush up here or something. So, for example, we'll use this as an example. So we'll use this as an example. Let's say there's like there's a red team, and his lines look like this initially. Like, he didn't really plan very far ahead. But blue, on the other hand, has decided that he wants to do something like this. Blue is abusing the fact that he gets pretty much first pick when it comes to units, so he wants to do something like this. When the battle begins in honest, when the actual things start going, red may say, okay, I know that you have this over here, so I'm gonna go over here and then construct a trench for, and for a round, for an action, I'm gonna build a trench here. I'm abandoning a trench in exchange for, I'm on your ass and ready to just flank you and fuck your day up because you let me do this. And it's like, oh, well, okay. And if blue is like, fuck, I need to move up, they can try to like, oh, I'm gonna cross the river here and try to build some new trenches like right here or something in a desperate kind of like last like fuck moment. But it's kind of a counterplay between the two of them, where the defender gets to choose where he wants to set up, but the attacker is the one who always gets the advantage when it comes to seizing the initiative, if that makes sense. Because, yeah, I know where you're going to set up. You kind of know where I'm going to set up. I'm just going to put myself in a place that's going to fuck your day up. Most of that's the goal anyway, which is very different from execution, by the way. So, spend supplies, points. So, right now, it's like, this was today's stream. That's like what I said I was going to do. I was going to get the trenches built. And most of them look pretty good. I mean, I guess I could put in like exception cases of like, yeah, here's in Bumfuckistan, you can successfully build a trench if you do that. Like, it's shit like that that gets a little bit nitty gritty. And it's like, how do you factor in every little detail that could ever happen on any battlefield? Because at the end of the day, there's only so much I can do because I'm a human fucking being. Which may surprise some people, but I am in fact a human being. But yeah, we can work with this. If we work with this, we've kind of got a good idea of like how things work. And we can do this. This is going to be one of those games where it's like, I damn well know not everything is going to be perfect, but I can kind of give everything I need to. Mostly because it's like, there's 1,001 things to consider, but I am only one person considering about 10 of them. So, we'll do extension sort paragraph A to Z. Mostly because I have to bully my friends and get them to follow these rules and see how it actually works in works in practice, which is usually a little bit more complicated than you think. But yeah, all right. So this should work. And if we're using inches, so light artillery. Put notes about trench costs here next Friday. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to put down notes about trench costs. So, trenches may actually units may also spend time and resources to dig additional trenches and improve their already existing ones. Actually dig additional trenches, expand their current ones, and improve their already dug in homes. What would you call it? Already existing battle lines. Often building a fresh trench, actually. So the light artillery, I'm actually going to make this a range of 5 inches, which does seem like quite a bit, but that's the point. And these are going to be 8 inches. Damage value there, so it's about 8 inches. 5 inches, 8 inches. Because the goal is I don't want people to like put their artillery in the way fucking back and never do anything with them. Spend time and resource dig additional trenches, expand the current ones, improve their already existing battle lines. Building a actually constructing new trenches and improving. Actually, constructing new trenches is around 25 supplies. 25 supply per inch, meaning that keeping supplies at the ready is essential to tactical victory. So it's kind of like that idea of, as the defender, like this is one of the big things for like defender advantage, or what I want to kind of like really beat in. Like defender has this huge advantage is you don't really got to worry about that because they usually want to come to you. Usually the catch is that the objectives that they kind of know. So for example, if we're using this as an example, both sides may say, oh, all right, we have to select something in the middle to determine our objective. And they're like, oh, okay, this is the actual grand battle plan objective. We need to take whoever has this within their lines is going to be, going to win. However, the red team over here may say, my objective, very simply, I need to take this. I need to get across the river. If I can get into their, flank them, I've already kind of emerged victorious. Blue, on the other hand, is like, oh, okie dokie then. I want to, hold this area. That's like my goal in life, that I need to hold this. So who has the advantage here is red team has the advantage because red's going to just say, oh, okay, I'm going to move up here, and this is the kind of the strategy here. They've secured 2 objectives, they're 1. Blue, on the other hand, is like, okay, I've put my units on these so far away that I need to now advance up. I've spent time and resources to kind of fuck myself over a little bit. So they're gonna need more time and resources to build new trenches. Sometimes you don't need them. Sometimes you really desperately do. So we've got that. So I'll kind of make this a little bit more specific. Building the core, war fronts, okay. Private information, trench terrain. All right. This should work pretty all right. Let's see if everything actually looks correct. Gonna be kind of a shorter episode today. However, that means next Monday we get to work on Boots in Mud, which is all the nitty-gritty combat details in which I get to lose my fucking mind. This doesn't seem like a lot, but again, this is kind of an important part of the building trenches aspect of Trenchfoot. So hopefully everything works pretty well there. I don't know. When I hit this part, the Boots in Mud combat in front, I might put like the thing before, which is like, this is what the actual objective is. There's a probably I might put it here. I don't know where to put it because it's important information, but I don't know if I want to put it here or if I want to put it up like in the war front section of like, this is what the actual objective is. That's a little bit of me having to sit down and think about it. So I'm gonna call it there for today because it's late and I'm tired. So thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad Anon, and I will see you hopefully tomorrow at noon EST, in which I'm going to go over the new Spider-Man game, or the Marvel game that came out. Maybe the Cowboy Bebop one as well, because I have it and I want to go over it. So thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad. Goodbye. Yeah.